allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, we ask that you be with us today and that you guide us, Lord. Fill us with the wisdom to make those decisions that are always in the best interests of the people of Manistee County. We also, in this month of November, remember all our veterans. We ask that you be with the families of those veterans and those that are returning with lost limbs, with mental injuries that have affected them from defending our freedoms. Be with them, help them to heal, help their families to reconcile and develop the understanding and acceptance of these changes and to console them in those situations where their loved ones cannot come back. So at this time we humbly implore you to watch over and to guide and to help those veterans. In your name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Here.
Mr. Hilliard?
Here.
Mr. Kolchak? Absent. Mr. Marshall?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
Mr. Waitman?
Here. Okay, we're on approval of the meeting agenda. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda. Second. Okay. All in favor?
Well, before you do that, there are a couple changes to the agenda. They're mostly deletions. Mr. McGuire had jury duty and is unable to attend. He was going to come from Lansing today and talk to you for a few minutes. And then James Barker was supposed to appear at 11 a.m. Due to a funeral. Don Lemmer's, I think, mother-in-law passed away, and the funeral is today in Kalamazoo. So he's attending that, and he's going to be on your agenda for next month. Mr. McGuire will be on your agenda sometime in early 2014. And I also moved up, because of Mr. Barker's absence today, I asked Heather Vasquez to be here at 11 o'clock rather than 11:30. So those are some changes.
Okay, with the changes in mind, you want to amend the motion?
Yes, I'll amend it to have the additions and subtractions. The town is.
Okay, second.
Four.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of October 22nd, 2013 regular board meeting, and the November 23rd monthly appropriation and fund transfers, which are attached under Appendix A. Support. Motion and support. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitman?
Yes.
Okay, now's the time set for public comment. Please limit your speeches or comments to 5 minutes, please. We will be timed, and when that 5 minutes is up, I will ask you to please sit down. The sheriff asked you first because he has some stuff on the agenda, so Sheriff.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Hilliard.
Chair, could you ask that everyone go up to the podiums because I can't?
When you come up to speak, please go up to the podium so everything can be heard and recorded. Thank you.
I'll be back with you, later on your agenda. There's some personnel business that we'll take care of, but I wanted to comment just during the public comment portion on a couple of issues. One is last Thursday. I don't know if all of you were invited to the League of Women Voters Forum they had on community attitudes and values, and that was held at West Shore College, I guess, at the West Shore Hospital. But I had the opportunity to go to that, and I received a lot of positive information about the state of law enforcement in our community and public safety, and there were about 20 to 25 maybe that attended that, and it was a forum to let our legislators know what are important issues to our state going forward. So I appreciated League of Women Voters sending me the notice of that, of what that was about. But I wanted to thank the board members and for all your help in working with us on our budget. I want to thank Mr. Kaminsky and the Controller's Office for doing all what they've done over the last 2 or 3 years that we've had to address some serious public safety issues in our county. And when I talk about public safety, I talk about fire and EMS as well, as far as what I heard at that forum. And the information that was gathered there is going to be presented to individuals that are running for elected office next year. And they're doing this all around the state, this crew that's been contracted to do this. So I just thought it was appropriate to relay to you because recently there have been a couple of letters to the editor of the paper about an appreciation to public safety, police, fire, EMS. Law enforcement took a shot that was with inaccurate information based on counting faces in a picture. And if you saw those letters, or if any of your constituents ask, hey, I hear there's too much law enforcement in the county, that's not true. Yesterday there was another letter that had inaccurate information on the other side of the issue, saying we were needed. That information was inaccurate, and I just stand here today publicly to correct that information that we have about 40 to 45 officers that serve our community in a law enforcement capacity. It went from 15 yesterday to 60 in the first letter. And I really wanted to correct the record, but I also wanted to tell you that people during the survey the League of Women Voters put on were feel very safe in our county. And I think that's important to recognize, and it's a tribute to all of the governing bodies that are doing a good job. The department heads that are running the agencies, the elected officials that are doing the work, and the people that are serving on the street are doing a really an outstanding job for all of you, and people recognize it. And I was happy to hear that public safety in that core group here in Manistee was not an issue at all. It was at the bottom because people told me we feel safe in our county. So that's a good thing, especially since all the turmoil we've had in the last few years at the state level with cutbacks and different things that they've had to do to balance their budgets. So I just want to thank you, appreciate working with us and in public safety and what we're doing, and letting you know that people do feel safe in our county at this point in time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. At this time, the Little River Band.
Hello, thank you very much for hearing. My name is Wendell Long. I'm the general manager of the Little River Casino Resort, and with great pleasure that we present this check to you for $814,000. This is part of our obligation under the tribal compact, and this is in addition to the $700,000 check that we gave you earlier in the year. In the past, the county board that distributes this money has used this money for everything from school buses to fire trucks to the Jaws of Life. It pays for overtime in local and state police. In addition, it provides funding for our schools. And we are very proud to give you this money because it makes Manistee County a better place. And that's not just for the county, because we're not just employees of the casino or members of the tribe, we're residents of this great county too. So thank you very much for all those reasons. We're very honored to present this check to you. I'd like to introduce the speaker of the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians, and that's Virgil Johnson.
Thank you, Wendell.
And believe it, he used to be a trapper too. So I think he set that up for me.
Don't worry about it, it happens all the time.
Thank you again, Wendell. I just want to take just a moment here. I want to just say a couple of words, and it's coming from my heart. Born and raised in Manistee. Went to Manistee High School, I went to Lincoln School, lived on Hancock Street, and then finally out on River Road. I lived there for 5 years. And I knew where our new government complex was. Used to be a dump from Jababi's Orchard. I worked at Jababi's Orchard in the evenings when they had a canning factory while I was going to high school. And I look at how we developed that land, and I say we, the community also is involved in the developing of this, the government complex, and then and the resort. And at the end of the day, we looked at this, and I saw some of the notes where the taxes on that were being paid annually about $14,000. And we've converted that to a revenue-generating enterprise that's given close to $1.5 million. And really, looking back at myself and going through high school, I'm going, would I be up here talking about this? Wow, I says, but again, working together and moving forward, I think we have a huge opportunity. We've got a bright future ahead of us with this enterprise and this business and other businesses that we want to generate up on that property. And there's a bright future for all of us. And again, I just checked here, and I want to thank Wendell and all the hard work that the staff did here to help create this revenue, because it doesn't come easy. We have to differentiate ourselves from other enterprises, other casinos. And I think we've done a remarkable job, and I want to thank the staff for doing that also. Here we go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Mr. Chair?
I won't trip on the way back.
Just a comment. I had the opportunity to tour your new government center, and it is truly a beautiful facility. I don't know if it's going to be open for tourists or the public or not, but it is one of the most, probably functional too, but one of the most beautiful facilities we got in this area. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition to our community too, among all the other things that the tribes and the casino brought to this area. But I was just curious, is that open? Are you going to have any public opportunities to go through that, or have you already had that, or maybe, or not?
We had the tour of the facility. It was open to the public, but I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity. Like our other council meetings that we have, it's always open to the public. And they're more than welcome to come in and watch the council meeting and participate. And if you call one of the council members or the Oklahoma Larry Romanelli, and you need to, I'm sure we can work out something you can come through.
Okay, it's really a beautiful facility.
And I would like to make one quick comment as well. I'm incredibly proud to be able to call myself an employee of Little River Casino Resort and also work for the county. It's impressive to see virtually every director from the casino here to represent the property that hand off this check, along with a few members of tribal council. I sit here proud for two reasons. One, because I'm a member of the team at the casino and also a member of this team, so I'm very honored to have you here today.
Thank you again. Okay, moving on in public comment. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Becker.
Morning.
Morning.
I thought I'd have to stand in line a long time with all these people here, but I'll get right to it. Kettle was one of the things I was going to talk about briefly. Started 4 years ago at the Road Commission. Since that time, there's how many people have come here in your presence to complain, to ask for your help. Many public hearings, tax dollars, thousands of tax dollars have been spent on the Kettle Hole issue, and yet no task force. No task force to look into to try to resolve the issue. Yet there is a task force being formed, is formed, to regulate the road commission, or whatever word you want to choose. And that's why I'm here again. I was here at the last meeting and gave you some very good reasons why I felt it was wrong at this time. Apparently it was a waste of time because you voted 5-1 to go ahead with it anyway. The reasons that you gave previous meetings for the task force were based on citizen phone calls. Nobody came here in public to raise their hand and address you in person. You said that at the last meeting, or the one meeting after I left, that Ken said that Dwayne Anderson had called and said that I was out to get Jerry Peterson from day one.
Excuse me.
I believe that was that
I did not mention any names as to who called me.
I don't know how I found that out.
I have no idea.
Well, anyway, irregardless, I think I want to clarify that.
Guess what? It wasn't him. Okay.
Okay, so whatever. In 2007, my first day on the board, I voted to increase Jerry Peterson's pay raise. I voted, in fact, made the motion by 2.5%, and I also voted to extend his contract for 1 year. In 2008, I voted to extend his contract for another year. At that time, I realized where the problems were, where we were losing money. And I decided then it was time to take some action, take the steps to change things. And I did, and I don't regret it. You said you had a lot of calls from township officials. Another basis for forming the task force. There are 72 elected township officials in Manistee County. I understand that after the meeting, nobody, not one person out of 72, came forth and wanted to be on your task force. All those calls you got seemed odd that nobody would come forth and volunteer to try to do something. So finally, 2 people did. Jim Wisniewski and John Dons. There's a problem. Jim has a son working at the road commission. John has a brother working at the road commission. Do you have a nepotism policy here at the county commission? We do at the road commission. The other thing is, you have a prosecuting attorney on your committee, on your task force. He's elected by the people to serve all the people, not just your task force. If the road commission had a problem with nepotism, with these 2 gentlemen I just mentioned, who do we appeal to? We can't go to the attorney or to the prosecuting attorney because he's on your task force. Who do we go to? The Attorney General's office. It costs a lot of money we don't have, but if it becomes necessary, that's what will happen. We're going to interview a new manager today, and it sounds like he may be the candidate that we've been looking for. We just appointed or hired and promoted a new foreman. These people are going to make changes. They're going to come into the road commission and make changes. Some people aren't going to like changes, because people don't. But that doesn't mean that they won't be good for the road commission, good for the citizens. My request is to you today, please table the task force for 1 year. What's it going to hurt? Give these new people a chance to make a difference. Oceana County, similar to you, put on a task force. But they didn't do it in 2 months. They took a long, diligent process. They held public hearings. Why not? What's wrong with having a public hearing? Let the people who called you and made all these complaints stand in front of the road commission board and let the road commission board have a chance to address these issues instead of a bunch of anonymous phone calls. What's it going to hurt to table it for 1 year? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'd like to make a couple comments, please. Number one is, I don't know where you get your information from, that's not correct, okay?
Okay.
All right.
What information was that?
Mr. Anderson, I never spoke to Mr. Anderson.
Well, you've already said that, and I accepted that.
Okay.
But the point I want to make about Mr. Anderson, about...
And your point about hiring a new foreman, who's that?
Pardon me?
Who's the new foreman that you hired?
Dan Klaus.
Is he a brother-in-law to you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. Yeah, brother retired, so you hired your brother-in-law to be the foreman's position, is that correct?
We have a policy at the road commission about hiring relatives, and in-laws are not included in that policy of a conflict of interest. Otherwise, it might be an issue.
I don't know, I would think that would be your...
Well, you may think so, but that's not what our policy says. So, what is your policy? Do you have a policy here at the county commission about hiring relatives? Because a brother and a son are definitely a conflict of interest in our policy at the road commission.
Well, I would comment that no one has been hired to the task force, and maybe task force is an incorrect word, because first of all, Bill, what do you assume the role of this task force is? Because I keep seeing and reading that you believe that we're out to take over the road commission. That couldn't be farther from the truth. There's no one at this table with the skill sets or desire to take over the road commission. We've offered a life vest, so to speak, offered to try to help, and instead of accepting that help and saying, yeah, give us a hand, let's see if we can push this thing going forward, you turn in your resignation. And now you're bashing the county for trying to send a lifeline out to an entity within the county that's struggling. That's all we've been trying to do is offer a hand, and it's been swatted away time and time again. And I don't understand why you wouldn't want any assistance.
The line between, the legal statutory line between you and us is a very thin line.
Correct.
It's very easy for you to step over that line, first of all. We don't get 1 cent of taxpayer dollars in the form of county money, first of all. Most people think they pay their taxes, so they got a right to say what goes on the road. Our money comes from the state of Michigan, from weight and gas tax, period. Nothing from the county. Except for the bond on that building out there, we have no financial ties whatsoever. The only way you can help us, and here's another reason, would be a countywide millage, okay, which is going to take some doing. The gentleman we're interviewing today has been on in a county where they have 2 mills, countywide millage, and they also have several township millages. They rework and 4 to 5 miles of road per year. Some years as many as 10 miles on their millages. That's what we need. Unless you want to take over the payment on that building, which basically is your baby as much as it is ours.
Absolutely.
That's about the only help that we could see happening right now. But to answer your first question, it goes back to what I said. Have a public hearing. Sit down, everybody around the table. You, us, the townships, the citizens, and talk about it. You tell us what you're going to do for us. We'll tell you what we would like you to do for us. That's all I'm asking.
Well, you just told us it was just as much our building as it is your building.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Except
So why
we pay-
why shouldn't we be involved in making sure it's run correctly then?
Because we have held back $600,000 that we retained in our restricted fund to pay for 2 years' payments on that building. And until we renege on the payments to that building, you guys are free and clear. We have plenty of time within that 2 years to step in and try to do something about it. Have a public hearing. What's it going to hurt? Let everybody have a chance to know what you're talking about in your personnel committee
Like
meetings.
Mr. Waitner said, Bill, we're not here to take it over. We don't want to take it over. We're here to try and help you. You think it's a vendetta to get you, and it's not.
Well, it doesn't matter, but I'm going anyway. But as far as taking over is concerned, one little tidbit that I don't know if you're aware or not, the sunset clause of January 1st, 2015, 1 year from now, basically, is probably not going to happen. There's a bill in the state right now that it's going to be, you can do it anytime you want, whenever you want. So there's no pressure to do that. But let me say this also. It's been a difficult process hiring a qualified person out there at the road commission. We had a great candidate. Came here as the interim. I told you all this at last meeting. Because of all the crap going on in Manistee County, he don't want part of us. He went down and signed a contract, as I have been told, in Mason County. And he's a great person, but we couldn't get him. So our task is difficult. And to have a task force to answer to besides the board is going to complicate the process for someone coming in. He's got a big enough task coming in brand new to take over and do the job and take care of all the stuff that's left behind by the last manager that wasn't completed and still have to deal with all this extracurricular stuff. It's not good. Please, give them a chance. Table it for 1 year. Give them a chance. Have a public hearing. Have 2. What's it going to hurt? Everybody else has public hearings to try to resolve issues. Why not you? Why not us? It wouldn't hurt a darn thing.
Thank you. Public comment, anybody else? No one else, moving on. Recognitions, announcements, comments?
Just once again, gentlemen,
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
just a couple things on your desk this morning. There's some closed session personnel committee report that we'll go talk about later, and it has to do with a grievance in the sheriff's department that is scheduled for arbitration. You'll hear about that during the personnel committee report. We'll go into closed session at that time. It's scheduled for a specific time on the agenda, so the sheriff and the undersheriff, Lisa Segala from my office, could be here. You have timber bid results on your desk. Mr. Erickson is on the agenda next to talk about those and to get your action on that. And then there's also a Veterans Affairs activity report. He's going to start providing you with regular reports like that. So just a short report saying, how many veterans he served and things like that. So that's all I got.
Okay. We're a couple minutes early, but Mr. Erickson, if you're ready.
Okay. Does everybody have a?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had 3 bidders for sale was for the 80 acres, the same 80 acres that we sold some hardwoods on a couple of years
Excuse me,
ago.
sir. If you stand by the podium
sure.
there. Thank you very much.
On the county's property, in Bear Lake Township, it's the 80 acres that had some hardwoods cut off a couple years ago. There's an additional 40-acre parcel with pine on that I intend to sell some pines, to thin the pines on the 40 with the Maiden's property next year. So this is kind of a partial cutting of the total pine resource that the county owns. But I'm really pleased with the high bid. They're a reputable company I've dealt with for a decade or more. They're Amish mill over in Everett, Cherry Creek. And it works out to almost $70 standard board, which is a really high price. Generally, you see bids in red pine sell for anywhere from $40 to $60. I think the higher price is a result of products. There's some bigger timber that's on there, and it's mature and it's grown for 80 years or so. It's an older plantation, so I think that's the reason we got a higher bid than what would be normal. But pine sales don't bring in the bidders like hardwood sales. You don't have, on high quality hardwood sales, you'll have 6 or 8 or 10 bids. Pine sales, it's normal to have, 1 to 4 or 5. So the 3 bids is kind of expected on this type of a sale. So I'm real comfortable and happy with the company that did. So I'd recommend accepting it. And I can put contracts together. So.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for Cherry Creek Forestry LLC, total $27,225.
I'll second that.
just so everybody's aware that there was 2 other bidders, that Malberg Forest Products for $23,750 and Brewer Forest Products for $18,615. Any other comments, questions?
Well, what fund does this go back into?
We used to, up until the new accounting rules, we used to have what was called a forestry fund, and it was used for everything from plat books to different things that the county might do, planting trees on the forest land, which we very seldom have ever done. But there really wasn't a use for it. So once we've actually eliminated the forestry fund in the last 5 years or so, and money has, in the past, gone to the capital improvement fund. And I would suggest that that's where it goes. It's kind of money that you get every few years as a result of timber sales. It goes into the capital improvement fund, helps with various capital improvements. We got a jail project for boiler. We got, I was just told yesterday, our elevator is going to need about $65,000 worth of improvements very soon because it's installed in 1986 and needs upgrading. It's never been upgraded in all those years. So, and you haven't even heard that until today because I just heard it actually yesterday from Bruce. And so there's little projects that come along that you know, I think that money goes to good use when we put it in the capital improvement fund.
I would agree with Tom, and I think we should continue to put it in the capital improvement fund.
If you use it for everyday expenses or just put it into your general fund, it kind of disappears as the year goes on. It's not there next year because this is kind of a one-time thing every few years. And that's what you did. You actually, the last sale you had brought in 80-some thousand or 70-some. We just had one about 6 months ago or a year ago on the same property, I think it was the Heartland sale. And you actually purchased the building at 395 3rd Street with that money. So that was a good purchase. When Heather comes in later and shows you the aerial photographs, I asked her to provide you with an aerial of the 395 3rd Street building and the courthouse property, and it'll show you why you actually purchased that building. You'll see how much property you would have lost and what the health department would have had. So I really think it's a good thing to put in the capital improvement fund.
Thank you. Any more comments, any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, a little early for Mr. Strudy, so we'll go on to the finance report.
Okay, we do hereby submit our claims for October 15, 2013 through November 12, 2013, totaling $509,319.35. Total payroll during that period, October 15, 2013 through November 12, 2013, was $448,298.13, which includes the 2 payrolls.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the finance report.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes. Moving on to Ways and Means, then?
If you want to, yes, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, we have a agreement here.
Okay. The Ways and Means Committee report, we met on Tuesday, October 22nd. It was a joint meeting with the Manistee County Library Board and their architects and engineers. No action was taken, but it was very informative. The library wants to keep the county board very much in the loop in terms of their desire to make improvements to the library building, the central library building in the city of Manistee. The HVAC system is obsolete. Could have major problems at any point in time. They're putting several $1,000s into patching that up each year, and that's what precipitated their interest. They have since been encouraged by the architects and engineers to look at the space allocation within that library too. And they presented at a previous meeting some examples of projects they've worked on before, and it was pretty phenomenal what's occurred at some other libraries in terms of increasing the usage, making it more of a community facility by just changing the way things are laid out. Instead of rows and rows of stacks, they're creating kind of open spaces where people can meet, read, use computers, etc. It was pretty impressive. And in this last meeting, this one right now that we're talking about, they had some drawings and some recommendations in terms of that layout. The library board is very interested in pursuing that, and the Ways and Means Committee is interested in seeing how that will develop. We haven't received any figures on what this would cost at this point in time. Again, this was informational. It's informational for you too. And at this point in time, there's no decision. There's been no proposal, in a sense, from the library board either. We'll continue to keep the full board aware of what's happening. If you have any questions, you can contact any of the Ways and Means Committee members too regarding how we're proceeding on this. Any questions on it at this point? I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes then.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll support.
Okay, motion and support. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Want me to move on to the next one?
Number 2.
Okay. The Ways and Means Committee also met on Tuesday, November 12th, and we did have some items that required action. One is, of course, the on-demand checks, and you'll see those in your report. I'm not going to go through each one. If you have a question on any of those, I'll either try to address it. I'm sure that Mr. Kaminsky can address it. So at this point in time, I will just mention to you that the total amount is $509,318.35, and the on-demand checks are $130,109.37. And entertain a motion to.
You did that with the finance report.
Okay.
It's confusing because the finance report is also included in the Ways and Means report, so I apologize for that.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Okay, moving on. The committee considered amending the FY 2013-2014 general fund budget from currently $10,476,407 to $10,486,505. This is an increase of $10,098, which is a result of wage and fringe revenue increases in the courts, since Benzie County reimburses 40% of those costs. So in a sense, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a transfer, or it's the allocation that Benzie County is paying for that 2% increase. Tom, is that correct? Yes. Okay. So at this point in time, unless there's some major questions on it, the motion or the recommendation is to amend the FY 2013-2014 general fund budget from $10,476,000 to $10,476,000. My bank account is not this big.
Maybe I need to wait for you this.
Maybe, that's scary too. $10,476,407 to $10,486,505. And no alternative recommendation was proposed.
I'll make a motion to amend the budget.
Support over here. Mr. Whitner, support. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
The next action item was the consideration of a master service agreement between Manistee County and Abilita. Abilita is a telecommunications consulting firm, I guess, basically. What they do is they review our telecommunications expenditures. They look for opportunities to reduce those costs, or in cases where maybe we were overcharged, they look for that also. They've done a pretty good job, I think, in the past, and there's a lot of different entities that are using them. Their fee structure, again, is, I think, a creative entrepreneurial approach in that they only, what we pay them is a percentage of what they find in terms of savings. Now, it's a pretty high percentage, it's 50%, but then again, it's 50% more for us that we may not have found either. So it's a kind of an innovative approach, I think. So it was recommended authorizing that master service agreement between Manistee County and Abilita, pending review by the county prosecuting attorney. I don't know if he's reviewed that yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
If
So
it's
it's still be,
approved, I will have them.
look at that. All right, so it'll still be pending his review, and no alternative recommendation was proposed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any questions, comments?
What's the term of the agreement? Is it 1 year?
I believe
Is it-
3 years.
It's 3 years where they actually collect for 3 years, and then after that, we get all the savings. This is something, it's, first of all, let me just comfort you in saying that Abilita, or whatever, I'm not sure, but
Abilita.
Abilita is endorsed by the Mac Service Corporation.
Okay.
So that makes me feel more comfortable. They've been after us for probably 2 or 3 years. They actually had a conversation, I believe, with Mr. Schmidt at a MAC conference about a year ago, and I have been putting them off for a long time because I just didn't want to deal with that project until we were done, one thing right after another, budget and all these things. I finally decided it's time to do this right now, especially in light of the fact that we've had so many issues with AT&T in our new contract. And I think they're going to help us find where, it will comfort us to know if AT&T is giving us the proper credits and everything else. So this is really perfect timing for us to take on.
Is there a projected saving?
Well, I don't have.
They won't know until
they
they
may
start
not.
working.
I guess my hope is that they find nothing.
Yeah.
But the chances of that are probably pretty slim. They average finding, I think he said in his letter, somewhere around 27% or something like that of what we pay in telecommunication expenses is either misbilled or not billed correctly or overbilled or whatever. So they'll find some things. And they also not only try to look at our bills, but they will also tell us if we're doing things correctly, if there's ways that we can save money. And they take a percentage of those savings only if you accept those recommendations. If they come in and say, well, if you change over to this company, you're going to save 50%, and you say, no, we really like AT&T or whatever company we're with, and we don't make those changes, they don't get any of the money. It's only if they accept them. Now, then the second part of what Mr. Bergstrom mentioned was they will actually look at bills and say, this has been misbilled or not billed correctly or whatever. So,
Well, the other thing is that after 3 years, they no longer get 50%. So if that is a continuing savings, now 100% goes to the county.
yep.
Is that 50%, is that consistent with all
Yes.
governments they work with?
Yes.
Evidently?
Yes.
They have a tendency to go back on billings to find out where you've been overbilled.
Right. Cool.
I forgot how, they told me how many years, but I can't remember what it was.
Any more questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay, the next action item is involving the tinting of the windows on the courthouse. And the primary reason for this is for safety purposes. Secondary but significant is energy savings too, because basically in the summer particularly, the tinted windows will reflect a great deal of that heat, costing less to keep our offices cool. Yeah. So there were 3 bids on this, and I'll just provide kind of a general overview on this, and then Mr. Shimke is here too, so I see him hiding back in the corner, but you're too big to hide. And so anybody can call on Mr. Shimke too for some, or Mr. Kaminsky too, for additional information on this. If I'm correct, I remember there were 3 bids, I think, or two bids, yeah. One was significantly different than the other in terms of the financial cost. The types of materials they're using, I think, are very similar. The total cost to do, well, let me read the recommendation here. Recommended that all season window tinting Inc. be awarded the bid to do window tinting at the courthouse, to include the entire first floor, the south side of the second floor, again, southern exposure, and the south side of the third floor, using Vista film at a cost not to exceed $12,102.08, being paid from the capital improvement fund. And an alternative recommendation was proposed. So you may be interested in some more detail on that. Like I said, you have Mr. Shimke here and Mr. Kaminsky.
I do have the Ways and Means Committee when they discussed it, and we also brought this up to the Public Safety Committee too, but there was some discussion about whether or not we should include on the north side of the building the third floor probate courtroom, since the judge sits in front of the window, basically the courtroom. And that cost, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, but that cost was an additional $746.67, So rather than this motion, if you agree that we should include the probate courtroom on the north side, rather than $12,102.08, it would be $12,848.75. There was also a question as to whether or not this could be done during the winter months, because obviously you're putting something on windows, and is the window too cold to be done? And Bruce has determined that it can be done because we don't have single pane windows. So it will be done within the next month or so if you approve it.
Did the judge indicate that he would like that?
Did you get a chance to talk to the judge at all yet? But we can do all that.
He does keep the blinds closed behind his bench, so it would, for the,
But you haven't spoken to him yet, because you...
no.
Yeah. So you're recommending that we include
This
that
would,
in your
this would
takeout?
take care of every single window and door all the way around the building on the first floor. All the way around the courthouse, the government center, the doors, these windows, everything. And the entire south side of the second floor, and that's being done mainly for energy savings, and the third floor. So the entire south side, first, second, and third floor. And then if you approve, we'd also do the probate court.
Mr. Shimke, do you remember if there was a percentage of savings in terms of energy costs? I can't remember if there is one.
40 to 50%,
47%,
or 40 to 50%.
40 to 50%, 40 to
Depends
50%.
on the film that you go with.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah.
I think the energy savings is important, or it is to me, because if you just say it's for security reasons, then I think we're spending money that don't need to be spent on the east annex. Windows are like up 8-9 feet from the ground level. There's no, I see no security impact there, but I do see energy efficient impact, and so I just had a hard time with everyone talking about security. This is done for security. Well, maybe that's what triggered it, but I see it more as energy efficient, and I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I agree with you, Mr. Marshall. Matter of fact, that's why I kept mentioning energy savings, because it's, that's a day in, day out savings, so that's pretty important. And it certainly then starts to justify that expenditure.
I've been in all these rooms here, and I mean, worst case scenario, everyone can close their curtains. So I understand part of it, but I tend to lean toward it, this being an energy efficient reason in my case.
Well, I think in terms of total disclosure too, one thing that we were made aware of is that in the evening, it does not provide a barrier. You can see inside in the evening. Now, we talked about that, but we don't really have that many evening meetings. There isn't that many that I'm aware of here. So I don't know that it's that big a concern. But there is no filament that I guess that you can put on that's going to prohibit you from, if it's an evening scene inside. So that it's primarily going to benefit from a safety position during the day. And then, of course, the energy savings will continue too.
Now, if it's done for security reasons, does the funding come from a special fund? Or if it's for energy efficient reasons, does the money come from the special fund?
We don't have any separate fund
Capital improvement
for security.
Okay. Capital improvement fund is the fund I think that's being tapped.
And what we might be able to do, and we can look into this, is that Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority has what's called RAP grants. And they will sometimes fund up to 50%. And those are probably coming due very soon, or we may have missed the deadline and we have to wait until May. But we may be able to I can contact Chuck Schwab at MMRMA and see if that would even be something they'd consider, because they have very strict rules on what they provide funding for. So I will do that.
Do you want to put this on hold until next month?
I don't think you need to do that. Once you approve the money, I can still go after the RAP grant. There's no problem.
There's no stipulation that, okay, we already approved the money, we have it up and going, and then get the grant after
I don't believe so. I don't believe so now with the MMRMA. It's going to be, they want to see projects that others do that improve safety, kind of to show other counties. I'm not even sure that window tinting is going to be acceptable. They're usually looking for things like corrections officers being trained in the jail or something like that. We have gotten some security money in the past for our lock system because it was, when we put it in, our lock system was kind of a new thing. It was kind of a state of the art, even though that after just a few years it's now ancient. But and so we received quite a large grant from them for that. But yeah,
Tom, what was the total amount not to exceed?
12,000. $848.75.
I'd make the motion to approve the window tinting cost not to exceed $12,850.
Support. Okay, a motion, we have support. Any more questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would just like to request that Mr. Kaminsky monitor the energy savings once that's done, or to instruct someone to monitor that.
The green team has a system, or the green team should be getting regular reports on our energy savings. We have a program in our office that Julie puts all the monthly bills into through the National Association of Counties, I believe, isn't it, Bruce?
Correct, it's called portfolio
The
management.
portfolio manager will be able to tell you if we're saving money or not.
Okay, I'd be interested in seeing the report, about this time next year or something.
This building here is very, very, believe it or not, is very, very energy efficient. Where our problems exist are, I think, the health department and the sheriff's department, although we've improved some things at the sheriff's department, and when we put the new boiler system at the sheriff's department, there should be significant improvements in our energy efficiency.
Well, there's not much insulation in glass, and we got a lot of glass.
This building is among the best in the entire portfolio management system, believe it or not.
Really?
We're what, top 4 for what? Like the state of Michigan or something like that for government buildings? Something like that.
Wow, it's impressive.
I'd like to make a comment relative to tinting. It was brought up about what density of tinting we were going to do, and I'd like to give Mr. Shimke the authority to select what he feels is appropriate for our application.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. Consensus?
I'm ready for that, sure.
Okay. Consensus.
Thank you. That is it for action items. There are several items that didn't require action. Is there any that the members of the board would like to discuss or want more information at this point? Mr. Kaminsky, would you like me to discuss those at all?
Well, Mr. Shimke, I mentioned the jail boiler project. If you'd like to hear from Mr. Shimke on where we're at with that, he could give you an update. He did give the Ways and Means Committee an update on that project. It's going to take place next spring, I believe. Bids are out right now and will be coming in
On the 26th.
on the 26th of this month. So that's one big thing. We talked about
What about the economic development subcommittee there? So.
yeah, I can give you, in fact, I was going to also send you an email that the city manager put together that I thought was excellent, giving you a complete overview of that. The AES board is going to be meeting on Friday, which I will be a part of. They are putting together a position paper that then will be given to those of you that Mr. Bergstrom and Mr. Hilliard and some city representatives to sit down and meet and go over exactly what their concerns are and what the concerns might be as far as regional economic development. Right now, the Regional Economic Development Committee from Manistee and Mason, Mason County is in a little different situation than we are in that they are sitting with no economic development director. We're running a pretty satisfactory program, in my opinion at least, right now, and they're in a hurry to get something going cooperatively or on their own. We are looking at that right now, and I know I've heard from a number of commissioners saying, if you ask us to vote on this today, we just don't have enough information. So that's why this committee was put together to start asking the right questions and putting the right questions together. The AES, the reason there's been a little bit of a delay in that is that the AES board wants to kind of gather some things, put some things together, and then meet with you and be able to discuss those on an intelligent basis. So, and then go back to Mason County and the entire group and say, we need to get this information. Because right now, when we look at the budget, for instance, and you just look at the budget and look at the staffing levels, it just looks like we're just putting it together, and we're going to have the same staff in Manistee, same staff in Mason. We're going to have one entity. There's going to be a different board, a little bit different budget, but do we gain? We have to be able to come to you. I know I do as an administrator. Need to be able to come back to you as a board, and Mitch needs to come back to City Council and say, are we getting a better service by combining? Or are we better off staying on our own? Or is there something in between we can do, where we could work together on projects, but not go all out into a full-fledged merger? So all those things need to be discussed, and we're trying to slow that process down a little bit. I think Mason County might be a little frustrated over that, because they're in a hurry to do something, but I don't think we have much of a choice but to do that. And Mr. Kolchak appointed Mr. Hilliard and Mr. Bergstrom to sit on that subcommittee, which probably will take place right after Thanksgiving. So.
I did ask Mr. Kaminsky to basically poll all the commissioners and ask them what their expectations are from this joint effort, and also what their concerns are.
And I will do that in that email that I send. I'm going to pretty much send almost the same email that Mitch sent to City Council, because he outlines he goes even back into history and talks about some of the things that were done. And why reinvent the wheel? I've got an email that Mitch put together to his City Council that did about the same thing. But I will, at the end of that email, be asking all of you to submit your comments, either to me or Mr. Bergstrom or Mr. Hilliard, so that they have something from you as to what some of your concerns might be.
And I realize we all have a limited information base on this, but based on what you do know, what are your expectations, what are your concerns?
Thanks, Tom. Anything else, Mr. Bergstrom?
Okay, I guess unless there's something else that we've discussed some of these items already, and one of them, the orthophotography, will be discussed a little bit later. So at this point, I've just entertained a motion to approve the report, the minutes.
So moved.
Report. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and support to accept the Ways and Means report. Any more questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, at 9:45, Mr. Richard Strebe, General Manager for the Manistee County Transportation. Sir, you're on. Thank you.
Morning.
I think you all have before you the mandatory contract and related resolution. This is something that NDOT requires of us annually. It has been approved by our board at the last MCTI board meeting. What this states, this is many years ago, the County of Manistee decided it would be a good idea to provide public transportation to the citizens of Manistee County, and decided by way of a third-party contract that Manistee County Transportation should be the one to do this. And this operations contract lays out our duties as far as hiring employees, setting a budget, training, providing insurance, on and on and on and on, all management functions of running that business. And MDOT requires this mandatory contract to be reapproved annually. So that's what you would be doing today, and also the related resolution authorizing the chairperson of the county commissioners, the county clerk, myself, and our recording secretary to sign that contract.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to sign the contract. We've done it in the past, so.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Very painless.
Keep them around.
Okay, next on the agenda is personnel. I see the sheriff's here along with the undersheriff, and
We actually have a 10 a.m.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. We have an appointment here for 4 individuals for a 3-year term for the Manistee County Prison Liaison Board. At this time, we have one person that has applied for that position. She is an incumbent, Ann Zeman.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd just like to, I'm the liaison for the county board.
Okay.
And I've worked with Ann on that. She's been on a long time. She does a fine job. I certainly would encourage her appointment. I also see that Eileen Hawkins is in the audience today. I don't know if she'd like to comment, but she sent a very nice letter about her service. I'm sure you all saw that. And she's now going to be moving to downstate near the Grand Rapids area to be with family. So that's, I'm sure, one of the major reasons. But she's done a fine job, too. Just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. This term begins December 1st, 2013, and ends November 30th, 2016. Entertain a motion for...
I'll make that motion to appoint Ann Zine to another term for, I believe, 3 years.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion support. Any comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Leitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
Could we put this back in the paper and see if we get a couple more people on there? Because I think we've been short individuals on that board for a while. I mean, I don't think we got enough the last time around, and I think there was always one seat left open out there, but I could be wrong.
There was. There was one seat left open. Ben Kubiak and, got your name, I don't know why, Eileen Hawkins. I should know that very well, but I just lost it for a second. Have been on that committee for a long time, and then there was one open seat.
Claire Sorey is also on that committee. I don't know why she's not, well, she's not listed here because her term's
She's
not.
not. Her term is not yet.
And I'm trying to think if there's, Eileen, is there anyone else on the committee? I'm trying to remember now. Claire Sorey.
John Anderson represented Manistee Township for a long time, but I think he did health problems. He's been absent.
Okay, is he still under a term? Is he still serving? Is he still serving the term? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know either because I haven't seen him at any of the meetings.
I'm not sure if the council will make that appointment of Mr. Anderson or if the township board.
I might be township.
Right. I think the board has 4 positions at the appointment.
Okay.
I can get those names.
So there's still 3 openings.
Correct. Okay, so this board would recommend that we re-advertise?
Yeah.
For those 3
Yeah, we
open
would like to
positions?
know that, yeah.
If I may say something, I really would like to see more people advised of what's entailed, because we only meet 4 times a year with the warden and the staff, and we get some insights into what's going on out there. It's really an enjoyable thing. Every prison does not have the courtesy of having a board like this. We have no power, but mine was from the city at large, and it's been very enlightening about what goes on out there. So I would encourage some kind of
Narratives in regards to
narrative, so you
what
can tell people what to expect.
that's exactly
That
what I
there
mentioned
isn't
about the
any pressure. I mean,
Brownfield Authority.
They
is-
serve good treats too.
We've implemented a new policy for advertising, and the clerk has done a fine job in the last couple of times to advertise.
Absolutely.
And we are losing Warden Curtin too, so there will be a new warden. I've been out there under 3 wardens, so 16 years.
I would add also to what Mark said, and I appreciate the service of Eileen Hawkins and Ben Kubiak. Appreciate it very much.
What does a prison liaison do?
Well, it's to discuss the issues that may come up either in the community about the prison, because remember when it was initially established, there was a lot of a lot of people are polarized.
At the beginning, it was very
And so,
controversial.
some like Eileen, and she was heavily involved in the establishment of the prison, and Z had serious concerns. And so they wanted to have people representing, in a sense, both issues, in a sense, and it's to discuss and have a voice into the prison to basically make sure they're aware of some of the concerns and address them. And what I've seen on my limited time on there is they're very interested in hearing what the concerns are. They also, first of all, I want to say too, that it's a great asset to have here. I mean, you don't even know it's out there. We don't have any problems with it. They're very well paying. It's a great asset to this community. And I know in some of those meetings they've discussed the fact that the state keeps talking about closing some prisons. And I made a comment once. They said, well, this is so well run, it's one of the newer ones, they won't close this. And the warden said, well, I won't say the warden said, someone said that it's all politics. It doesn't have to do with the age, the capabilities of the facility, it's all politics. So there might come a time when the community has to stand up and say, hey, we want this here. It's doing a great job. It's one of the best facilities in the state, and we want to keep it here and keep it operating. So that's something to be thinking about. So it is a great asset. I think whenever, I've asked a lot of questions about their operations. They've been very open about everything. And I tell you, they're running a good operation out there.
Sir?
So,
The clerk just informed me that we have a job description here, if you want that read to you. So you understand it. Well, that pretty much is.
Well, in the description that I had put in the ads, and I received this from the Oaks Correctional Facility, it says liaison board members serve to represent the interests of the Manistee community to the Oaks Correctional Facility administration and to communicate the concerns and questions of the community to facility administrators. The board meets quarterly with the warden of the Oaks Correctional Facility and the warden's administrative team. Board members are apprised of information about facility operations which may impact the community. Board members provide valuable input to enhance collaboration between facility administrative staff and community resources agencies. That's what they do.
and you're right, Eileen, the cookies are pretty good, too.
And the coffee service is good too.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, any more questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, Personnel Committee. Personnel Committee met November 12th with a number of action items on the board, and I would like to go to the POLC grievance number 13-40 first to take care of that. To address that, we need to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Support. Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session, and with support, any questions or comments?
You probably should include that motion that it's pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act, and that you would allow the county clerk, county administrator, the personnel officer, the sheriff, and the undersheriff to be a part of that closed session. I don't think of this the way it was.
Okay, you guys want to make your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Roll, please.
How long do you think this will take? Maybe we should let the,
Okay, we are now back in open session. I will entertain a motion on POLC grievance number 13-40.
I'll make a motion to offer a settlement pursuant to POLC grievance 13-40 as advised by legal counsel and discussed in closed session.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Can't have.
Nope. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. We're back with the Personnel Committee. Mr. Dowell presented a resolution that is necessary for change in members' contribution for the PLLC Union Division 2 further union contract. According to MERS, anytime there's a change in benefits, the county board here has to approve that benefit change. And we have a recommendation here, Mr. Waitner made a recommendation supported by Mr. Bergstrom to support the resolution for changing MERS benefits to change the member contribution rate to 9.75% for POLC Division 2.
7.5 or 5.7?
I'm sorry?
5.7.
I'm sorry, 9.57%. No alternative recommendation was proposed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support that.
Okay, I have a motion, support. Questions, comments?
Does everyone know what we're doing here? This is very similar to what you did for the medical care last month, or I think it was last month. We have in our union contract that the county will pay no more than 12% of the pension obligation. Every year, MERS comes out with a new number. I think the employees in this particular group were paying 7.94% or whatever last year. It's now come out that they need to pay 9.57, so that we're only paying 12%. So that you're increasing their pension obligation per contract.
Any more questions, concerns, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes?
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No other items pertaining to board action here. Discussed at the meeting was the new wage system, whether or not to keep pursuing this. It was suggested by the Personnel Committee to, yes, keep pursuing the new wage system. So there's no update other than they're going to continue working on that. Any questions on that?
Lisa and I, basically what we're going to do is send out another round of emails to all department heads and start scheduling early in 2014 one-on-one meetings with them just to discuss how it may impact their budget moving forward, see if we have their individual buy-in, because if there's not buy-in, then there's no reason to invest any more time if it's going to continue to spin tires. So we just would like to basically get the nod before we invest that much more time, because this is not an easy project, but we also, believe it's a very worthy one, but in order to do so, we want to make sure we have buy-in. So.
Is everybody concur that we should continue? Okay. Very good. Continuing on, we also discussed the Manistee County Road Commission Task Force. I really don't like the name Task Force, but I guess that's what stuck in this year. Members on the committee are the Personnel Committee, plus John Dons and James Wisniewski from the Michigan Township Association, and John Miller from the Road Commission.
Yeah, I received an email from the Road Commission. The Personnel Committee asked me to send a second request to the Road Commission because we hadn't received any names. The day we were going to send it out, we received an email from the Road Commission saying that Annie Hugard and John Miller were appointed. And then I received a second email, or it was in the same one, I can't remember exactly, asking who is going to pay them per diem and mileage to attend these meetings. And I sent back an email immediately saying if the Road Commission wants to pay them per diem and mileage to come, they can come, and they should be paid by the Road Commission. County commissioners or whoever else is on the committee will either be paid by their township or by the county board. It's a task force. There's no pay other than what's already in your policies. I then received an email back saying that Annie Hugard will not do it unless she is paid per diem by the county. So you have, and that Mr. Miller will serve. So you have one person from the Road Commission right now on that, unless you decide to do something different, which I really wouldn't recommend. You didn't do it for the MERS ad hoc committee or anything like that. Correct.
Any thoughts of just sending a letter back to them, asking them for another member that might want to?
I can do that. I can do that. And then, because I was getting ready to start sending out all kinds of information, so I can start doing that anyways. But I'll send them another letter.
No other questions or comments, so that is the end of the personnel report. Now entertain the motion to accept the...
So moved.
Support. Okay, have motion, support. Any more questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on, public safety report. Public safety met November 12th. We have a number of items for board action, or a couple items for board action, it looks like. Number one item is to raise the per diem fees for inmates at the county jail from $18 a day to $25 a day. And raise, let's see, collection amount, and after it goes to collections from $30 a day to $40 a day. The recommendation by Mr. Waitner is to raise inmate housing per diem at the Manistee County Jail for sentenced inmates from the current rate of 18 per day to the rate of 25 per day. When the account is turned over for collections for non-payment, the rate will increase from $30 per day to $40 per day. No alternative recommendation was proposed.
So this is what inmates pay when they're incarcerated, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, but it's a very select group of inmates. If they have not been sentenced, if they're waiting for court, they don't have to pay this. It's only when they are sentenced to a specific period of time at the county jail, they're charged this.
So if you have an inmate that sits in the county jail for 6 months awaiting trial, and then gets sentenced to the state penitentiary, to state prison, we would get nothing.
Okay, because, well, they're not being incarcerated in the county.
Right, but all the time that they sat waiting,
Yeah.
we cannot charge for it. I didn't realize that until that was explained by the jail administrator, that you have to be actually sentenced. So you're mainly charging the person that says gets 30 days in jail, or
30, 60, 90 days in jail.
Right.
Are them new fees fairly consistent?
We haven't changed those fees since the 1980s. And the sheriff asked the jail administrator to check other counties to see what they were charging, and his recommendation is very consistent with other counties.
In fact, it's lower than
It is.
Yeah, I was just curious how it came from 18, whether it been 23 or 30.
It gets closer in line with like-sized counties, and it's lower than the larger county.
You have a lot to go to collections.
I don't know how many they sent.
Well, he didn't give us a number, but Mr. Lancaster did mention that quite a few do go to collections.
We collect, if you don't really even have to do the math, we collect between $10,000 and $15,000 a year. That's not very much money, considering that you're averaging about between 50 and 60 inmates a year. However, there are a lot of unsentenced inmates in there too. But it would probably be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars if we were collecting every penny. Very difficult.
The majority of people don't have
It's
jobs.
a very difficult
Yeah,
collection.
I know, I got cousins that's their residence most of the time. And if you told them you're going to increase it, they'd say that's fine, because they weren't going to pay anyway.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Okay, also discussed was approving a grant, operations of the scent narcotics team for fiscal year 2013-2014 for approval. Mr. Waitner recommended to approve the Byron Justice Assistance Grant contract in the amount of $10,348 between the Michigan State Police and the Manistee County Sheriff's Department for operation of the grant program. He authorized the chairperson to sign the agreement. An alternative recommendation was proposed. I'll entertain the motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Questions, comments?
If you look in the budget, you will see that the budgeted amount is more like $20,000, but the state has reduced the amount we're getting. It is our hope that the scent board, which is the local scent board, will make up some of that money for us and send us money like they have in the past.
So many entities are involved in that.
Well, there's Manistee, Mason, Lake. Well, I'm not sure if Lake's involved anymore. I think Oceana, Osceola.
So about
Mr.
five?
Chair, do you know what?
We have 3 counties involved. It's Manistee, Mason, and Oceana. Lake was a long time ago, but they opted out quite a while ago.
So it might be a three-way split maybe or
Right,
something.
and Sheriff Kolakowski also mentioned that next year that money from the state should be increased back to somewhere near the 20, I think it was 22,000 that we had initially budgeted. That's why that budget number was there. But it sounds like next year it's going to go back to that higher dollar.
What I should have done is not had you made a budget amendment today, because the 10,000 that you raised the budget, it looks like we're gonna lose about 10,000, so it's probably gonna go right back to the old way. But we still have hope that the local Cent Board will be able to afford the reimbursement of some of that money.
Correct.
Any other questions, comments?
Does the sheriff, do we also offer a person full-time to Cent?
Yep.
Also? Right, okay.
This only covers, our Cent budget is one full person, basically, which is, I think, somewhere around 50 to 60,000 with benefits and everything else. And then, I don't have that in front of me, but, and then we get this $10,000 in return, and then sometimes Cent also provides us with some additional supplemental money. And we also have to pay for the cars that Cent owns, but Cent has actually picked up that cost the last few years. So they are doing their part to try to limit the amount counties are paying, because we're paying more and more. When Cent first started, it was almost a wash, but now it's just dwindled. And if the Cent Board knows that counties will start eliminating Cent if they don't try to find alternative ways to limit that cost.
So right now, though, if it's a local dollars, it's split 3 ways, is that right?
Well, I think each county pays their own share.
Yeah,
That's what I
we
meant.
pay for the officer. That officer is on our payroll. Fringe benefit plan, Mason's is on theirs, Oceana's on theirs, and we each sign our own grant agreement.
And I believe the city of Manistee also has an officer involved. We used to, years ago, actually give it was $30,000 a year, and then we went to the one person. The city also has this same type of setup here. They offer the one officer, but I think they also get some type of reimbursement grant money, typical or close to what this one is.
So is the expenditures about the same for the three entities in the city then? Or do they?
Well, it depends on what you pay your officer.
Yeah, it's a regular.
Everybody pays their officer something different, so there's going to be some difference, but for the most part, it's equal.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Thank you. Other items at public safety, we also discussed the opinion of the windows, the courthouse. We discussed the lease with the Humane Society. At this time, it expired October 1st, 2013. There is no recommendation or anything yet to get a new lease contract or whatever, so we're running as is.
The sheriff did have a meeting with the Humane Society president, who happens to be Colleen Kenny, the mayor of the city of Manistee, and they called me during that conversation. We discussed some back and forth issues that I'm sure we're going to have something coming back to you very soon.
Okay, also we discussed security at the courthouse again with the metal detectors and stuff, bonding at the east annex. Still, there's no recommendation by anybody as to how to proceed with this. The prosecutor, did not, what was his comment?
Well, I haven't really heard back from him yet on a couple of things. He told me a few things, but I think he's kind of at a loss as to where he goes with this. I'll talk to him some more. I really haven't seen much of the prosecutor in the last couple months.
Well, it says here,
It's not that he's not here. He's been very busy.
Yes.
it says requesting Attorney General's opinion. That hasn't been,
Well,
We have not done that yet. One of the reasons we haven't done that is because the prosecutor suggested that he try to get some other information before he does that, because if you ask for an Attorney General's opinion, it has to go to our state legislator. Our state legislator asks for the Attorney General's opinion. We have no authority to ask for it. It has to come through our state senator or our state representative. Then, or through the prosecutor, I believe. But the prosecutor has told me that if we do ask for Attorney General's opinion, the Attorney General is going to call the prosecutor, ask him to do all the research, all the work, and to send it in to them, and they'll make a determination from there. So you might as well just ask the prosecutor for an opinion, is about what it amounts to.
Well, I think I think Lake County basically wands everybody.
Well, the county clerk at the meeting mentioned that a lot of other counties are doing it throughout their entire courthouse, so, Judge Botzer has a certain opinion on this, so. I'll just leave it at that.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, that ends the Public Safety Officer's report, and I'll entertain the motion to accept the report.
I'll make that motion.
Support?
Okay, motion support, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on, it's a little after 11, and it's time for Heather, Vice President. Assistant Equalization Director.
Yeah, well, Heather is doing that. I'm going to give a little brief outline of what happened with our aerial photo project. We started about 2 years ago with our planning director, 911, representatives of the city, and we all kind of got together and determined that we did need new aerials. And so we applied for a grant to the Revenue Sharing Board, and were awarded $40,000 for that. We then entered into a contract with Infogeographics up in Traverse City and Chad Collins, who had been working with us on the previous aerials. We thought we needed somebody that really knew what they were doing with these. Chad put together an RFP, and it went out in November of 2012, and we got 6 qualified firms responding to us. Based on the price, the quality images, and that type of thing, we chose the Sanborn Map Company, and their contract was for $62,888. Chad worked with them over the next several months after they flew the aerials in May of 2003 to make sure that everything, that the pictures lined up with everything on the ground, road center lines and that type of thing. And we were delivered our new photos in October of 2013. And since that time, we've been using them internally in our office. They turned out very good. We've also had Heather's went out to a lot of the townships and installed the aerials on their assessors, zoning administrators' workstations. And so they're all using it. We've also provided the city of Manistee their copy, and we actually worked out a partnership agreement with the state of Michigan where they contributed $9,000 so that they could use our aerials also. And I guess probably what I'm most excited about is that we also put the maps online for the public to use. And Heather's going to give you a little demonstration about that right now. Thank you.
Right, I'm just going to run you through currently what we've had is the parcel search, which has been out here for 2 years now. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it or not.
I use it all the time.
Okay, good. But basically, you can still search the same way. I'm going to address today.
We can go online too and look at this too, or look at any kind of map. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, this is on the county website under the Equalization Department.
And this is free of charge to the residents?
Yes, it is. So this again is our normal information that we've had out there, but now once you have the parcel that you're looking at, you have the option to find a location on a map. So what this does is this brings up our base maps, or what we call our tax maps, which is just the map information with the parcel lines on it, street names, things like that. And the new feature that we have over here is that you can now add the 2013 aerial map. So there's the county courthouse in yellow. That's the parcel that we did the search on, so then that parcel comes up with the highlighted yellow boundary.
Is that highlighted small piece or is that county-owned property?
Yes, it is. The parking lot is under a couple different parcels for whatever reason. We were trying to determine that yesterday, but yeah.
The solid yellow, that's not ours, right, or is?
The solid yellow, yep. And I can see if we can...
And how about the little rectangle below that?
Correct. Yep, that's part of the parking lot. Over here you have the rest of the parking lot.
They're all county owned, right?
Correct.
It's all county owned. There's always, and this is one of the reasons I wanted Heather to use this as an example, because there are questions from time to time about what we own and what we don't own. That solid vertical line there on the left is basically the church's end of their property line. So everything to the right of that or to the east is county-owned parking lot. So we own the majority of that parking lot.
Why don't you explain the boundary there with the building that we just purchased there so they're aware of where the parking lot is?
I think Heather's going to get to that.
Oh, great.
Yep, I'll see. There is a limit. You can, we'll see how far it'll let us. You can use the magnifying tool here, which allows you to draw a rectangle around the parcel, just like any other mapping service you can use online. The tools are similar.
If you don't see my car in the parking lot there, it's because I think it was lunchtime.
No, you're right, you were gone.
You're sure it was the middle of the afternoon?
So again, that's as far as it'll let you zoom in so you can see it a little better.
We take pictures every day to see what's our work.
That's wild. Now, there is a parking space there that says reserved for the church. Is that part of an agreement that was made with the church or something?
Yeah, we have let the church have a couple of spots for a couple of their people. We also completely provide all the snow plowing services, including the church, which is very little. It'd be kind of senseless for the church to pay for their own snow plowing when it's just that small area. They did pay us over a 10-year period, I think a total of about $12,000 to $15,000. I have to go back and look. When we renovated that parking lot 10 years ago, they had to pay for their portion, and they paid us over a 10-year period. That has just ended, I think, last year.
Okay. You can also use the crosshair here, which is more, it's your panning tool. So we're going to go across Maple Street to look at the two buildings, the buildings that the county just purchased. As an example, you can see the parking lot, which is something town wanted.
Heather, was that the maximum magnification you could get on that, or could you blow that up more?
Yes, that is as close as you can get online. If you were to come into our office to purchase them, I think we could probably get slightly closer. But once you get to a certain point, it does become blurry.
It is absolutely amazing, I think Roger would agree, how much better these are than the aerials you used to get. It is absolutely unbelievable that you can, that's, especially in the city of Manistee now. In the city of Manistee, it's a little higher resolution because we actually agreed to do that so that they can see manhole covers and fire hydrants and everything else. Right there, what Heather is showing you is the 3rd Street building. This is the building we just purchased right here, for $395. This is the health department. As you can see, here's the entrance to the parking lot. Had we not purchased this building, we would have owned this block, and that would have been it. There would have been literally no parking, no entrance. I guess we would have had to put an entrance in right here, which would have been very difficult. And that would have been all the parking we had. So did we absolutely need this building today? No. It's turned out to be a good, useful building for us, but we really bought it to have this space here.
So you can also search this site as well. We'll put in a couple out counties so you can see the aerial out that way as well. Database search, which is what we did originally. You can search by the parcel number, the owner's name, or property address.
Is that an alleyway in between 3rd Street building and residents there, you got two yellow lines, and that's actually supposed to be an alley?
Yes, that's an alleyway that exists when it was first originally platted as a subdivision. A lot of times they become vacated, but it's something you have to go through the local municipality. You have it vacated, and then it's usually adjoined to the adjacent property owners.
The other thing that I think should be mentioned here is those lines are not absolutely 100% accurate. They're between 3 and 5 feet in some places, and even more than that in others. Heather showed me my house yesterday, and the property line went right through my middle of my garage, and I went, "Oh my God, I hope that's not accurate." She said, "No, it's probably not. 2 feet off."
You mean Jim owns your house?
Yeah,
Jim owns your house.
So here's an example of the ones at the different resolution, which are out county, out of the city limits mainly. This is Arcadia Bluffs Golf Course. And the speed depends also on the computer or your internet connection too, so it could be faster or slower depending where you are. And then basically you can move around on it, or you can see how far it'll allow you to zoom in. Here's the golf course.
Heather, isn't it also, I know you showed me yesterday when you were testing this, that you can actually find out who owns that piece of property?
Yep.
Maybe I'm getting ahead of you here.
No, that's fine. That feature is available when you first load the base map. All of the parcels have, you can see the little circles, the white circles. The identification tool here, if you're curious as to who owns the property next to you or behind you, you can then click on where that circle is. And it takes you back to that original search window and then tells you the information on that. So you can see who the owner is, their address, description. So all that. It's tied together either way. So you can search it by looking at the map. You can search parcels, or you can start the other way and do a parcel search and then load the map.
How about property class? What you got included in there?
Yep, you can also, these over here are different layers. We started out with the county base map, then I changed the layer to the aerial photo. You can also then change it. We're just going to take away the aerial, but you can do it by property class, and you can update the map. And then below it here is your legend tool that you can open, which is then going to give you your color-coded to tell you which classification certain properties are.
Can you combine any of the layers? Like if I wanted to look at the aerial map and have that also tell me what school district it's in, can you combine any search?
Not currently, no, not on this feature. You can, again, use the identification tool if you needed to, and that would tell you the classification individually, though, of course. And that's something we can do in the office with the other program that we have. You can put in multiple layers and then make them, the layers so that you can see through and see the aerial. You can also do it by school districts if you wanted to know what school district the parcels are in.
So how accurate are the borders and lines here? Are they like within 50 foot or 10 foot or 100 foot? Or what?
Depending on where you are in the county, we tend to say 10 to 15 feet. We remind people that it's a visual representation.
Mhm.
When the lines were first originally digitized, we didn't have the aerials available on the computer, so they were done by just the lines. So in order to get that accuracy change, would be involved, you'd have to redraw descriptions and things like that with the aerial underneath. So that's why we have that room for error 10 to 15 feet depending where you are. And there are certain areas like Tom's house where you can definitely see.
Let's just bring up Tom's house and see what it looks
Actually,
like.
we should zoom in on that particular parking lot and see if his truck's at the golf course, not at here.
And that guy on the golf course, that's not me.
I see where a guy going to the border, you could go with a lot of ammunition now. Have to look at the numbers you just stuck in there.
Well, this stuff was always available, but it's never been available online. Is that not correct, Roger? We actually used to sell.
Yes. Everything still is available in our office at even better resolution.
We can spell that right.
No, you didn't.
What's your address, Tom?
506 Bryant Ave.
Thank you.
Shows on the owner, but the bank's still with
You're the owner by the month.
Again, it loads the base map originally. And then we can add that area on that.
And what scale is this roughly right now?
The city was at 50 scale, I believe.
50,
I'm not sure if that-
what's the answer?
Yes, I'm not sure if that's the same as when you're zooming in and out, it doesn't give you the scale, but that's originally what they were done at.
Well, it looks like you're taking a little of Jim's property.
Yes, this is a good example where you can see that
that's a big
this
lot.
area is off a little bit.
He's got money.
That's Tom's house there.
Gee, you could have taken the garbage out for the pictures.
Well, Jim's home.
Yeah.
You probably put a driving range on there.
It's not as big as it looks.
Needs to be taxed a lot.
I don't know if
I don't
there's
see the boat.
The boat's behind the garage. Yeah, right there. It's gone now.
So that dot in the middle there,
Okay.
that'll bring back that information back to the owner and all that. Okay.
If Tom wanted to know who his neighbors are, if he didn't know, you could click around with the information tool, and then it brings up that current information.
Yeah. That's very,
I don't know if there's any other specific areas anyone's looking for. I think one of the original ones they put in was the hospital area.
Looks like it's pretty user-friendly. You navigate around, huh?
And it is the same that Wexford County uses, so we tried to stay consistent with surrounding counties, so for the people who use it a lot.
Now, that's basically the county's property, the jail,
Correct.
the medical care, and the hospital.
Yes. Yes, you have the hospital here, the medical care, and then the jail. There's also measuring tools on here that can give you a rough estimate. It lets you put certain points. If he wants to know how far back.
That's a good point right there. That's where they're supposed to tear up the driveway.
You can go to here, and then it'll tell you the distance. You can even add more points, and then it lets you clear it out to start over.
From there, can you pick up just a hospital now and bring that out?
Sure, I can see. I'm not sure if it'll go, it might go a little further. This is kind of an estimate. This shows you over here how close you are.
I'm not sure. I'll tell you about that.
Does this, can you also tell you how many acres that parcel is? Yeah.
We have that built into our assessment roll, so yes, if we, it'll let us identify.
Wow, that's pretty good detail there.
Yeah, it is. Crystal clear. Tom doesn't own a hospital.
No, he doesn't.
He owes them, but he probably doesn't.
Have you had many realtors or other businesses and individuals looking at this yet, or is it just so new that?
I believe so. Some of them are aware of it, that it's out there, but I think now that it'll be available, I'm sure, in the recap in the paper, that'll get more people to use it.
Now, the only negative side to this from a money standpoint is that people will now be able to get this online, which is a great service to the community. However, the actual sale of aerial photographs will probably be down some, which usually funds at least a portion of what when we try to do this 5 to 7 years again, from now. But the Ways and Means Committee and this board discussed that, and I think Roger recommended that the benefits to the public outweigh and the costs of doing this seem to be coming down every time we do it. Even though the quality is getting better, the technology is getting better, and the technology is actually a little bit less expensive every time we do it. Am I correct in that?
That's correct, yes.
Back to your question of the acreage.
That's the legal description, isn't it?
Right, and at the end,
2.69.
correct.
Wow.
This stands for acres, and then the more or less to cover any
Almost 63 acres, wow.
Correct, yeah.
Are these maps printable from this website? Can a person just print their own copy, or is that something that they would have to come into us for?
They can print from here. Again, they might be able to get a little better quality or closer if they came to us for one.
Okay.
But I do know that you can print as far as it'll let you zoom in.
Well, we got room for expansion there, Tom.
Well, that is important for you to know. I always say that's to the north, but that whole field out there, I think it's actually to the east, to the west.
Or you're talking this way?
Yeah,
Probably the east.
to the east, towards the airport. There is room for expansion if needed.
And you can also move down the road too if you wanted to look at the airport. You can just move around that way too to look around. So there's part of the airport.
Mm-hmm.
So unless anyone has any questions or anything else they'd like to look at, that's the basic information about it. And
That's pretty neat.
Will this be able to help the drain commissioner in an assessment of the drainage district out there?
sure,
Is he using this?
I'm not sure.
I know the tribe is using it right now and the plans for even though the
Sure.
agreement hasn't been reached yet, they're still doing some preliminary work, and I know they've contacted Roger regarding aerials. Because they're using it for that.
Well, could you bring up the new government center? I would say, when was this
Sure.
done? What's the date on this
This
again?
was in April, so I'm not sure how much it's
They would have
done.
been, you've been working on it.
Right. I believe they are in construction process.
Heather, the program they have in the office for the GIS mapping, will that show drainage districts? Is that on there?
That might possibly be something that Rob would have. I'm not sure if planning has that. It's not something we currently use, but
We don't have that in drainage districts right now. If you remember, you hired someone to help the drain commissioner gather his records so that the county planner could start mapping drainage districts and you can determine which districts you want to keep and which ones you want to get rid of. So, no, that's not been done yet, but it's hopefully in the process.
You'll be able to use those maps then?
Well, it looks like it's pretty well along right there. Parking lots are in, buildings are in.
Yeah, it looks like they have part of the structure out there.
The landscaping hasn't occurred yet.
Right, and the parking lots, yeah.
Yeah, this actually has to be done just before the snow leaves and just before the leaves come.
Correct. Any other questions?
Thank you, this has been very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Rob actually has used that on my behalf on a parcel of property.
Oh, sample, huh? Great, thank you.
Bring that to the planning board,
I'm sure that
moving
that
on.
probably could be arranged.
Housing review committee, verbal report.
I guess I can give that, the only reason I put that on there as a report was the Housing Review Committee, along with the county planner, myself, Kathy Moran from the AES office. I can't remember everyone else that was. Well, there were a couple people from there was a woman from Mishta and also a woman from a agency that is helping Mishta and Manistee County put together what's called a targeted area. We receive a $175,000 housing grant every 2 years, and that housing grant helps low-income people do repairs to their houses, and there's also emergency type money. Mishta and HUD, I guess this money actually comes from HUD to Mishta, is requiring now that 50% of that money be put into a targeted area that is really kind of designed to assist with placemaking. If you hear the word placemaking. So they want areas improved that have walking areas, schools, county buildings, city halls, things like that. So you have to kind of try to pick areas that are not too rural as part of to use part of that money. So what they really want is improvements in areas like that. And so this committee, the Housing Review Committee and others, are in the process of putting a plan together that will come before you, I believe, at your December board meeting, based on the most recent timeline that I looked at. And you will be approving that plan. The suggestions made by the Housing Review Committee and the others sitting was to use the village of Bear Lake and Parkdale as the targeted.
And there was also a third.
And the city of Manistee as your targeted area. So at least 50% of the money will have to be used in those areas.
Right, up until that particular meeting, we were of the assumption that the targeted area had to be one area. We found out that there was multiple areas within the county that met the criteria to be part of the targeted area, and we can choose any number of those areas to be included in our targeted area. We just have to disclose which areas they are. We have to select them. So we were able to find out that 50% of the money actually got spread a little bit farther than we initially thought. We thought all of that money had to be spent in one small location. So it was kind of beneficial.
And you may, and this is sort of a joke, but you may look at the three commissioners and say Bear Lake, Parkdale, and the city of Manistee, the three commissioners sitting on the committee all represent those areas. But I honestly can tell you that that was not the case when that discussion took place. I mean, it was kind of a joke amongst them. Well, geez, look what we ended up with. We represent those areas, but those truly were, because you can't pick the areas. There's also certain areas that can't be picked because the income levels or the demographics show that they're not a depressed area.
There were multiple qualifiers.
The village of Onekama, I think, is one area that wouldn't even qualify to be a targeted area because of the income level and the housing values and that are too high. So it's sad in a way that you could have someone with a house in those areas that wouldn't be able to be served.
Right.
In this current grant, they could be, because they could be served with the other half of the 50%. But in the future, we're being told that all the money's going to have to be the targeted areas. So just some new rules that are coming out. Rachel Nelson is doing a tremendous job. We're also cross-training Julie Schmaling a bit with that. Julie was involved in those meetings also. And Rachel's very busy right now between her job as payroll and accounts payable and all her other financial assistant duties, especially with Russ being gone. She's picked up a few little things, and also right now she's getting all kinds of applications right now and trying to sort through this. So.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the County Review Committee report. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to the joint court. It's not on our list here, it's on the CD, that's not on our paper list here. So, joint courts, Mr. Kolchak's not here, Mr. Whitener or Mr. Smith, either one want to make?
Go ahead, Carl.
Give a report? Oh, sure.
Well, we met on October 11th here. I'm trying to recall if there were any action items.
One action at the very end.
It's not highlighted as action item, it has to do with Chris Randall. Remember, we changed your classification.
I'm just getting down to it right now. Judge Botzer was present, and he gave a synopsis of Ms. Randall's responsibilities, and that he's been named, correct me if I'm wrong, chief judge for the area, and that's not a decision that he gets to make, that's handed down from the Michigan Supreme Court. So for the duration of his tenure, he has recommended a 10% salary increase for Ms. Randall because she's going to be the administrator of over both Manistee and Benzie court systems. Now there is the potential sunset on that 10% if the next judge that replaces Judge Botzer upon retirement chooses something different, then she would revert back to her current salary. So this 10% would be just during the duration of time where she's operating as the administrator of both. And it was moved and supported to allow Judge Botzer to do that because the funds that he is going to be using for that are coming off of his current budgets. There's no extra money being added to any line items, no extra expenditures for any of the court systems, so he believes he's got the money in his budget to currently do it, so there's no extra expense to Manistee County proper. So it was moved and supported at the meeting.
What about 2015?
He's gonna, Judge Botzer's
He's
gonna
got to
retire.
retire at the end of 2014.
Yeah.
I know, but where will the extra money come from?
Well, that'll be up to the
next judge.
judge.
There's no person in the state that has this
Well,
statute right now, okay? And probably, we're keeping Chris at her same step increase, we're not changing that.
Correct.
So as soon as he leaves, this position will probably go away and she goes back to where she was.
Chris Randall's current position is Circuit Court Administrator of Manistee and Benzie Circuit Court. That's what she is being paid for today. Judge Botzer has been the chief judge appointed by the state of this court system, which means Manistee and Benzie Probate District and Circuit Court for several years. He has been administering that court basically through Ms. Randall, and he feels that she has not been paid for that. He feels he doesn't have any extra time to devote to that, and he would like to for the remainder of his term, because effective after he leaves in 2014, end of 2014, Judge Mead has been named as the chief judge already to take over for that for that next year or 2 years or whatever. Judge Mead is going to serve as Judge Botzer's assistant, so to speak, kind of helping him out, kind of in training, I guess, to be the chief judge. But Chris Randall, the judge wants to give Chris Randall not only circuit court responsibility, but all the courts. Everyone in every court will answer to Chris Randall as the court administrator. And he feels that is worth an extra 10% pay. The committee agreed with that. He did say that he has enough money in his current budget to cover the wage and fringe benefit that will also be shared 60-40 between Benzie and Manistee. So we'll only be paying 60% of that increase. But you're right, in future years it will be in addition to his budget, unless you at budget time, you say, well, we've got this additional wage, now we have to cut somewhere else. So you may cut equipment costs or travel costs or whatever. So it'll be an annual budget decision.
Well, so when we discuss our budget for next year, 2015, are we going to be talking to Judge Botzer on that, or are we going to be talking to Judge Mead on that?
For next year's budget, Judge Botzer will still be the chief
Yeah,
judge.
but we're looking at 2015.
Judge Botzer will be here for 1/4 of the 2015 fiscal year. My guess is that you will be dealing with both judges because Judge Botzer will probably have Judge Mead very involved in that process.
Because he might have different ideas of what
Correct.
he wants to do.
Absolutely.
And if we approve it again under direction by Judge Botzer, and then it changes, then it would just be money that wouldn't be expended.
It is highly likely that in 2015, Judge Mead will say, I'm the chief judge, I will do, I'm going to do all the work involved with that. I don't need I don't need an administrator helping me with that, and may decide to disband that position. If that's the case, then Ms. Randall will revert back to the circuit court administrator status, or not be here at all. One thing about elected officials' jobs, the second in command, is that once a new elected official comes in, you're not guaranteed anything. A new circuit court judge, even though he's not the chief judge, may come in and say, I don't want Chris Randall as my circuit court administrator, I want to hire John Doe. And so all those things may change a year from now, or a year and a half from now, I guess.
Was there a reason that 10% was given as opposed to looking into step system, wage scale?
Well, Judge Botzer felt that there, and I think Mr. Schmidt just alluded to it, that there's no real comparisons with her job. That's not necessarily the case, but that was discussed whether or not it should actually be, that her job description should actually be changed to reflect that, and that it be looked at by Mr. Notley. The committee didn't feel that was necessary.
Well, what I read was they didn't think there was, and so they just dismissed it and stuck with the 10%.
That's, I'm not going to speak for the committee here.
Judge Botcher wanted to keep the step right where it was for next year, and that's when he's gone, more than likely they're going to eliminate this position and she has a place to go back to.
Right, and that's
she has
exactly
the position back where she was.
That's exactly how Judge Botzer brought it to the Joint Court Committee, was that whatever happens after he retires, he won't have any knowledge or control over, which is why he didn't want to change her steps to be commensurate with that new wage, but he wanted to pay her for the time she was serving in that capacity under his watch. But he also didn't want to lock the county into having to do that forever.
And you really wouldn't, you could have two positions. You could still keep the circuit court administrator position and then have the court administrator position that could be, reviewed by Mr. Notley, and then, so that, and then you keep the circuit court administrator so that Judge Mead comes in and says, no, I'm not going to do it this way. Then Ms. Randall could revert back to the circuit court administrator position. But that's not the way the Joint Court Committee went with it. That's not their recommendation.
We have to make a motion.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion that we allow Judge Botzer to appoint Chris Randall as the court administrator over all courts in both Manistee and Benzie County with the recommended 10% salary increase effective January 1, 2014.
And is that indefinitely, or is that just for the year?
No, that's until Judge Botzer's retirement, and then it would be.
That's as long as she is the circuit court administrator. Or, not the circuit court administrator, the court administrator.
Right, over both.
A second.
Discussion?
With this motion now in place, with the new judge, will this be an issue at our budget next year, or will this be answered by Judge Meade in 2015?
I think you're asking me a question. I don't think I have the answer to that.
Actually, the judge said that if this went on for a couple of years, he has enough money in his budget that he would cover it until he's gone. And then it's going to be the other judge's responsibility to do it the way he wants to.
Well, he won't have enough money in his budget for a couple of years because he's only got money till September 30th of next year. But it will be a subject of discussion at next year's budget time. And I think that's one of the reasons why he mentioned that Judge Meade will also be involved as the chief judge. Even though he's not officially the chief judge, I think he's going to get him very involved probably in the budget process next year, because Judge Botzer will only be here for 1/4 of our new budget. So they're going to have to come to some conclusion on this.
Okay, so what we should do is Judge Meade now coming to the joint court committee meeting?
He has not been there.
Okay, so before it comes to budget time next year, we're going to have to ask him to come there so we can get an idea as to what he's thinking here for 2015, right?
Exactly.
Well, and if memory serves, Judge Botzer did allude to the fact that at budget time, this would be considered when we're in our budget process, because we also let Benzie know at that point that we were going to go early this year to make sure that we were prepared in the next year.
Right.
This also has to be approved by Benzie County?
Correct.
Okay.
Hopefully they're taking it to their board today.
Correct.
I'm never quite sure
If
what
They got a new administrator now.
That's what I heard.
Any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor. Roll call, please. Second.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes, I do have some concerns about this, but I'll go on with it for now.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes, for now. Anything else?
That was the only action item.
Only action item, okay. Entertain a motion to accept the joint court report.
I'll make the motion to accept the report, the joint court report.
Good support.
Okay, a motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Technology, please.
He doesn't have a technology.
Okay.
Green team.
Green team.
Green team met, you have the report. Very little discussion, no action items. The only thing that was discussed was the possibility of somehow coming up with a program to educate people as to the benefits of possible very small county-wide millage to support recycling in lieu of what they're paying now. We all felt that for the most part, those who are paying for recycling right now, a countywide millage could involve everyone, and we would actually be able to save those people who are paying for the $2. That was the...
Mr. Schaefer, how are they planning to approach that? Are they planning to have public hearings?
That wasn't even, just the ground discussion.
Talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, millages, particularly for things like recycling, are very hard to get passed because people don't understand the benefits of it.
I was thinking
And-
educational sessions and
Right.
public hearings like that.
Northland Township, as an example, pays $50 a year for their recycle program. So in order for them to be interested in a recycle program, you're going to have to show them that a millage is going to cost them less, and they're going to get more for that less. You know, and you're also going to have to approach the millage aspect and the savings aspect at a point in time where you haven't got, like the city, having already just gotten into a contract for recycling. they've already signed the contract for the next 2 years or 3 years for recycling, it's going to be a moot point that they're not going to want to do it. So the timing is going to have to be considered, and the educational process to get the people aware of what the recycling program will provide to them and the savings to them is going to be. So it wasn't discussed in great length, but we did talk about it, and it was all agreed that we would start to maybe take a look at how we could pull this off.
Timing and education were obviously key components.
I'm just interested to know how they approach
And other than that,
this.
that's-
This climate, millages are not easy anyway.
We're on the downside of the collection right now as far as the volume is starting to drop off because of the year. And there are no other new participants in the program. That's it.
I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make the motion to accept the thinking Fort Worth.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any more comments? All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Regional Summit Committee.
I'll take that one since Mr. Kreitzik is missing.
Okay.
We only have one action item, and that is to, Mr. Schaefer made the recommendation to approve the budget for the upcoming employee recognition luncheon for not to exceed $2,500. That's for the gifts to the individuals and their specific tenure awards, and the cost of food and beverage for that particular function. Not to exceed $2,500 for the employee recognition luncheon Tuesday, December 17th, which will be immediately after our meeting. And also extend the employee lunch hour from 12 to 1:30 p.m. No alternative recommendations were proposed.
Now, before you make a motion on that, I just talked to Lisa in the hallway because the money for the recognition awards, I'll say, is budgeted in the county budget already. The only thing that is not budgeted is money to have the luncheon. So, and we usually buy pizza. It's a very simple luncheon. We used to have an all-out dinner, recognition dinner, where people brought their spouses and it was all paid for. That was a $6,000 or $7,000 annual expenditure that was dropped a few years ago during budget because of budget constraints. This thing here, more than likely, and hopefully Lisa can give us an answer here, will only be a few $100s. I can't imagine it because we're going to buy pizza and some pop and some paper plates, and we've got the church across the street. We have to pay a small fee there to have that cleaned afterwards. Other than that,
It was around $650 last year.
so I would ask that you, if you're going to approve this, that you actually say that you would approve a budget not to exceed $700, for instance, for the employee recognition luncheon to be held on Tuesday, December 17, 2013, and also extend the lunch hour. Because the recognition gifts, and they're not, I shouldn't call them gifts because they're not, the recognition awards for people with years of service is budgeted. I sit down with Lisa every year and we make an estimate on what we think, how many people we think will retire, how many people are coming up, and she gives me that information at budget time. And I include it in a line item that we have for that and for the West Central Michigan County Alliance and for attending the MERS conference. Those are the three basic things. So $2,500 is not needed for this.
That included the gift, or the award.
Okay.
So the motion needs to be amended to be $750 for one, not $2,500.
Yes. Who made the motion?
I don't have a motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion. Approve the budget not to exceed $750 for the employee recognition luncheon be held on December 17, 2013, and to also extend employees' lunch hour from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m.
I'll second it.
Motion, I have a second. Any more comments, questions?
I think it's just a good opportunity to get the elected officials and all the employees together. It's a nice thing to do. We don't do that very often. I think we should be there when they receive those awards. I think it's a good thing.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Waitner?
Yes.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else with region, or regional summit, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion to accept the regional summit report.
And a motion to accept the regional summit report? Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Tom, we're going to skip over you for a second. We'll go Bear Lake Improvement, really no action until probably next April on Bear Lake Improvement. There's no report to give on Battle Lake Improvement.
I can give you a quick update. We are slowing down the processes of our request of Manistee Township. We have expended the amount of Phase 1, which is $5,000 for the practicability study. We have tabled the second phase, which is the lake level portion, until spring, and that's by, again, request of the township. There has been some concern raised in regards to the initial petition in which the board was formed upon. Legal counsel has stated that there is nothing incorrect, everything is legal and binding. We just want to give the residents of the area enough time to research so they feel comfortable moving forward. We are doing our double hearing on the 2nd of December. The first is to reopen the hearing of practicability, which we tabled after the last meeting. At that point, it would be, moving on would be voted down, and then we would close that hearing, then open up the hearing of assessment. At that time, the hearing of assessment will conclude with us ratifying the special assessment district regardless, because there's already been money expended. The residents know that that needs to be paid. And then for some reason, if the Bar Lake Improvement Board were to be dismantled, so to speak, then the second 2 years just would not be assessed, and the county would be paid back in full the amount of money that's been expended so far. So we're just basically going to be tabling it until spring. We can't do any treatments to the lake anyway over the winter months, and there's no reason to go into the lake level portion until all the questions get answered.
Has that district been assigned or assessed right now? I mean, have they been formed legally?
We're going to ratify that on the 2nd.
Okay, did the county release the money already for this?
We've got the bill. We probably would have. I felt a little uncomfortable with this because this board was very adamant, make sure there's a district set up. I've had lots of conversation with Mr. Waitner, but no, we haven't. One of the reasons we probably haven't is because Russ has been gone, and I want to make sure we pay it from the right place. But we also are, continually talking to Mr. Waitner, are you sure we're going to get this money back? And he keeps assuring
I
me
mean,
that
that was
yes.
our assurance, because that was a question at the township meetings. Have they got the money yet? And that's why I'm asking the question. So, okay.
That bill is actually still sitting on my desk.
Okay.
So if we hold off on it until December 2nd, is that going to create a problem?
To be honest with you, as long as RLS has already waited, I don't see it being a deal breaker for them. They have been doing in-kind service for us for several months, over 200 hours of consultant time has been invested basically on the waiting for the finalization of it. They have been incredibly generous with their time and efforts. So the sooner the better, but I also understand that was one of the stipulations. And unfortunately, the reason it's taken as long as it has is again, at our meetings, they tend to get a little contentious, they get a little heated, and when you're talking about a fledgling board and there's two sides to each story, they each want to get their time to speak, and both those sides are very important. The only way we're going to get to good final decisions is when they get their chance to speak, and that sometimes takes time. Our last public hearing meeting was 2 hours, and we ended up having to table it. But we, like I said, now that we've been officially requested by the township to slow down, in good faith, that's exactly what we intend to do.
So the
What's your
direction I have from this board is to hold off until December 2nd. I was
Yeah.
doing some other things here while you were talking.
That's when they're going to vote on
There's gonna be
establishing the district. So once it's
Okay.
established, then you can make the assessments. So,
Hold off.
Need to go?
I know it's a little contentious right now, I know it's probably going to occur, but I think it's, our due diligence on this is important too.
The other thing I can tell you, that bill that we have currently is only about $4,000 or $5,000, under $5,000.
That's 5,000 even.
$5,000. Your initial motion was to give up to 15, so we're well below that. $5,000 is nothing to sneeze at. I understand that we have to make sure we're going to get the money back, but
Carl, if this, if your Bar Lake Improvement Board is disbanded without an assessment being done, can we give that bill to the township?
The assessment will be done. That's not even an option. That's not an option. We also sought legal counsel. If for some reason that were to take place, we are legally within our rights to send out invoices to the residents surrounding Bar Lake, and they would be obligated to pay the invoices for their portion of the total amount expended.
Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to accept the Bar Lake Improvement Board meeting.
I'll make the motion.
And-
There was no, it's just information.
Okay, good. Moving on, county controller.
I don't have anything.
Not a thing.
Not a
Okay.
thing yet.
Tell us about the one you got, come on.
No, that's afterwards.
Just don't leave until after you sign your committee reports.
Okay, Mr. Schmidt, anything for the committee?
Not right now.
Okay.
No, not really, it went well.
Wagner? Okay. Marshall?
Nothing.
Mr. Butch?
Nothing.
I have nothing. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.
Right at noon.
Ken, nice job.
Nice work, sir.
Thank you.